Welcome to the She Self Cares podcast. I'm your host, BC, aka BC Bright. And this is the show where we dive deep into the world of self care, personal growth, and empowerment. Each week, we will explore the practices, stories, and strategies that help women like you prioritize their well being and live life to the fullest body, mind, and soul. If you're ready to embark and embrace your power, transform your life, and thrive in every area, then you are the right place. Let's get started. All right, welcome to the She Self Cares Triple E podcast, and we are so excited to have you, Nahledi, today. And actually, you're our first guest on this podcast. So, yay!
Guest number one. Yay!
Yay!
Hi, everyone. So
Thank
happy
you
to be
so
here.
much for really creating time to do this and be with us today. Our main mission when it comes to this podcast is what we call the triple E, which is to encourage, educate, and equip women to prioritize themselves, their self care, and really thrive. And one of the ways that we want to do that is through this podcast and by sharing amazing women's stories that, how do we get to where we are? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we provide, something like boundaries and really just encouraging one another and really learning from one another is one of the main goal with this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
I'm really excited to be here as well. I really care about educating and, paving ways and making space for all of us, especially women, to learn from each other. And I think it's so much better to get it from the source. So I really think you guys are doing amazing work. And I genuinely can't wait to see how the podcast grows and grows and grows.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you again for joining us. For anyone that doesn't know, you can just do us a favor and really quickly introduce yourself, who you are, and then we can get
Sure.
into it.
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Nahledi. I'm your favorite multi-genre DJ. I am currently based in Pretoria, but mostly DJ in Joburg and Cape Town. I've been DJing for about 4 years now, 5 years. I'm also one of the She Plays DJs powered by Power
Woohoo!
Play. And yeah, you probably have seen me on a stage somewhere near you if you're based in Joburg. And yeah, I think that's the crux of who I am, what I do. I studied at the University of Cape Town for anybody that's interested in that as well. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to since
Absolutely, that's
graduating.
amazing. And often, obviously, there's a lot of female DJ. We know that, but it's also not a lot. It seems like a lot, but it's also not a lot. A lot of female doing
Yeah.
their thing. So it's amazing how you get there. So share a little bit of how this became what you're doing now. Like, how do you get to this journey? How did this start? Is it something that you
Okay.
like? Some people when they're like 2 years or like 2 years old, like I love music. I'm gonna go to music. Is this something that's always been
Wow.
there, or something that just bump on your way later on in life?
I think it's definitely something that bumped in my way later on in life. I've always loved music. So when I grew up, there was always someone like my dad always had he had record players and like CDs and a sound system. My brother also loved music. So there was always like music playing in the background. And I think at the back of my mind, I had like a large catalog of music, but I didn't really know what to do with my love for music. So like anybody, I left high school. I was really smart. I got 5 distinctions. I
Ooh.
went into accounting and I studied accounting thinking like, yes, this is what I want to do. I love numbers. I'm going to do this. And then as I was going through the degree, I just started to feel like a really big disconnect in terms of like what I felt like intrinsically I wanted to do with my life and versus what I thought I wanted to do and what I was being taught to do, I think. And basically, what ended up happening is that in the pandemic in 2020, when I was responsible for like holding myself accountable to get my work done, I really struggled. And in my struggling, I just kind of like started messing around with different other hobbies and different things, and I got virtual DJ. So I downloaded virtual DJ on my laptop and I started playing in it, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I was like, ah, whatever. No, I'm gonna do accounting. I'm gonna be an accountant. This is not. This is just for fun in the
Yeah.
pandemic in my free time. And then it started being something like, no, but like I really want to do this. And I had spoken to a friend, and one of my friends basically was like, let's just go to a DJ lesson and see what happens. There was a DJ lesson happening in Cape Town at the waiting room. And we went, and I really just, it blew my mind. I loved
Wow.
it. And after that, I was working as a tutor at the time as well. So after that lesson, I basically took the money that I had saved up from tutoring. I bought my own small little controller, and then it was me and YouTube for the rest of the way.
Wow.
And that was around like May, June of 2021. And then that December, I played my first gig. And then I just played that one gig. And then after that gig, it just came another gig and another gig and another gig.
Wow.
And now I've been doing it for about 3 years. And I haven't stopped, essentially.
Wow. That is something.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, I have to ask this question because, especially as a female DJ, and also since you were still in college at that time, how are your parents? How did they take it? How are your parents taking it? How did they take it?
To be honest with you, I thought that they were going to freak out, but my mom was so chill. She was so calm. But it was also like she saw how much commitment I had to it. Like I think the best thing that I did for myself is that I didn't ask for permission. I kind of just bought the equipment and went with it, then came home with it and was like, well, I'm doing this now. And they were like, well, as long as it's not disrupting your school and you are fine and happy, then we're happy for you as well. And I think the nice thing of starting just before I graduated, when I did graduate, I kind of had a little bit of a source of income coming in as well. So I think my parents took it really well because they were like, well, it's not taking away from you doing your schoolwork.
Yeah.
It's bringing in a side income as well, because this was when I was studying. And then after I finished studying it, like the income started growing more and more because I also had more time to do it. So she was really happy for me. My mother was like, this is great. It makes you happy. And she could also see that like I was really struggling towards the end of my degree to really push over and like get to the other side of the finish line. So I think because she's like aware of mental health and she is supportive of me and trusts that I know what I'm doing, she was very supportive of it from the jump, to be honest. She's like my biggest fan.
Oh, that is amazing. That is so amazing because we don't often hear that story. But that is so amazing.
No, we really don't. And I don't take it for granted for a second that my mom trusts me and supports me. I think it has also allowed me to grow and my journey to be a lot easier because I'm not hiding from her. I'm not like running away. Also, like the job is very late hours, and it's like I'd rather you know exactly where I am instead of having to like sneak in the house. It's like if I'm playing at 2 a.m. till 3 a.m., I'm only gonna come back at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and it's late. So yeah, having her support is definitely something I don't take for granted. I think it has made it easier to pursue it full time as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to mom. Thank you, mom.
Shout out to mom. Go mom. We love you, Alfreda.
Now let's talk about self-care. Like, what does self-care means to you personally, especially in this, fast-paced world of entertainment industry? What exactly does self-care means to you?
Self-care to me means showing up for myself and my health to make sure that I can show up at my best when I'm on stage and when I'm performing. And I think the entertainment industry or the nightlife industry is a very like you said, it's a very fast paced, like there's always alcohol, there's always like your hours are so weird and awkward that like sometimes you're always just constantly eating fast food. Your sleep patterns are very disrupted because if you're getting home you're only going to bed when everyone else is waking up. And like,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know this, but also sleeping in the day is not as restful as sleeping at night.
Absolutely.
So to me, self-care means I set things up to make sure that I can get as much rest after a gig as before a gig. But before a gig is when really like that's when the most of my self-care happens, because I guess after performance it would be aftercare.
Correct. Yeah.
That's how I put it in my mind. It makes sense to me.
Okay. Awesome. So again, like you said, you have this hectic lifestyle. So how do you balance now your professional commitment with your personal self-care routine? Like, how do you balance both professional and also your personal life when it comes to this? You just mentioned now about, you work late hours sometimes, you have to rest during the day, right? You still
Yeah.
have to do other stuff, commitment. How do you balance that?
I think it's important to have a day that you designate to yourself as well. Like I know that most people's like day that they designate to themselves is over the weekend, but over the weekend is when I'm at my busiest. So I will usually take a Monday off or a Tuesday off, or I'll look at the week and be like, you know what, I have an interview on Monday, I have a podcast recording on Monday, so I can't necessarily rest on Monday, but I can rest tomorrow because maybe tomorrow's a bit of a chill day. So I find balance by scheduling. I think scheduling for me is the most important thing. I also find balance because I think a lot of people in my life understand that my career and my hours are a bit weird. So they
Yeah.
also have a lot of space for me to be like, hi guys, maybe I might not be able to attend the birthday party that's happening here for my friend to support you, but I can see you maybe next week or the previous week. So I think for me, I find my balance genuinely from scheduling and knowing like this is what's happening on this day, this is what's happening on this day, and this is what's happening on this day.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. Having that specific, knowing your schedule and being, I guess, being intentional about it and not just
Yes,
winging it. Because
definitely.
sometimes we often want to just wing it and be like, oh, I'll rest. Don't worry, I'll get my 5 hours there, but I need to go to that party anyway. But just like you said, being intentional, I think that's really amazing. What you mentioned. So how do you manage this emotional high and lows when it comes to performing? Because I can imagine as a DJ, when the industry, again, we said is quite stressful, and
Yeah.
everybody has their own stress in whatever they do, right? But for you, it sounds like it's very emotional highs and lows while you're coming. So how do
Yeah.
you manage that stress, that emotional well-being?
I believe in crying. Guys, you must cry.
Okay.
Sometimes all you need to do is sit with yourself and just let the tears come out. Breathe a second and then keep it moving. But no, like
Okay.
jokes aside, I think that I definitely manage my emotional highs and lows through journaling. Even in my self-care reel, there is a portion of me journaling. I think it's really
Yes.
important to write it down, whether it's before something, after something, and definitely eating well. Because I think a lot of people forget that like your health is also directly related to where your mind and your body is at. And if you aren't eating well, you don't feel well, which contributes to the lows being even lower. And then on top of that, it's like you're drinking alcohol, which is also a depressant. So now it's like low, 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 low. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm very adamant on what I eat, when I eat, making sure that I have my full meals every day. Whether I'm anxious, whether I'm nervous, you're gonna eat something, you have to eat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's eating well, it's journaling, it's also going to the gym. I recently joined the gym as well, and it is absolutely like just
Oh, that's
changed my
amazing.
mental capacity and my mental strength, because it's like if I'm frustrated or stressed out by something, it's fine. Go run on the treadmill, you'll come back and you'll try it again. And yeah, just overall also having space for yourself. Like I know it's all good and well to have these little things that can help you feel better, but it's like sometimes you just need a moment to stop, take a
Absolutely.
breath, and feel how you're feeling. If you need to take a personal day, or you feel like I actually can't show up for this event or this gig the way that I need to, then it is okay to be like, guys, I'm so sorry, but like unfortunately my health has to take priority today. It might be tricky, but it's also like it's really good to have good relationships with the people that you are working with, so that if you are ever in a situation where you're like, guys, I'm so sorry, but I can't actually attend this event or do this thing today, they have the space and the capacity to also understand, like, you know what, we know Naledi has a really good track record, she always comes through, so it's okay for you to not come through today. And also knowing other people in your industry, other peers, being like, okay, I can't come through, but I know somebody who can stand in my place. Is it
Yeah.
fine if I give you this contact? And so yeah, I think it just comes from balancing that stress. Also just comes from really knowing yourself and knowing like what is your capacity. Like, can you show up today, can you not show up today? And if it is something that like, okay, I feel a little bit off, a bit low, but I think if I journaled and I had a cup of tea and I went outside and looked at the blue sky, I'll feel a bit better. Or is it one of those days where it's like, actually, I can't today, I can't, I might need to just take a step back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that makes so
Yeah.
much sense because, like you said, being able to filter your emotions to be able to see what you need. Because you can say, is it one that you need to push yourself? Because sometimes we have to push ourselves, right? And sometimes we have to
100%.
really say, listen, I'm really completely burnt out. I cannot do this. And creating that
Yeah.
boundaries. And we often struggle with that, especially as women. And it doesn't even
Yeah.
matter if you're a DJ or you're a physician or you are whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's often one of the things that we struggle with, right? In terms of being to say, I cannot do this right now.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to, I want to, but right now I don't have the capacity to do it. And I love that be able to differentiate that and be able to know that, because a lot of people
Yeah.
have struggled with that. And also, just like you said, I think just going back to feeding our body as well. You
Yes.
mentioned about that because a lot of times we don't check into us with ourselves also to see how do we how am I feeling and why am I feeling this way? Have I had
Yeah.
water? Have I eaten my balanced diet and all that good stuff? So it's really interesting to see that you already got that under control, which is amazing. We don't
Yeah.
often
I
see
think
that.
I don't know if it's under control, but it
But
is
yeah, at least you're
100%.
aware of it. You're aware of it
Yes.
and you're
I'm really
intentional
aware of
about
it.
it. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're
Yeah. I'm
perfect.
definitely aware of
Yeah,
it.
definitely. So how has
I
as a
agree.
female DJ shape your view on self-care? And how do you use this to perform to your performance or your platform to inspire other women in your industry?
I think being a part of something like the She Plays team, Power Play, which is basically just seven women, and we're all DJs, and we all show up for each other's gigs. We play together. I think for me, my platform is really about showcasing women in the sense of like, I will show up to other women's gigs as well. I will post them. I will tag them in my story. If they post me and tag me, I repost that as well. Just also showing outward support, sharing a reel, sharing a comment, like small
Absolutely.
things that don't take away from you. Being like, oh guys, this girl is so cool. She's so fire. Y'all should check her out. Playing women's music in your set. Um, it's just like little things, like even just like posting with the women that you bump into when you are at these events, networking and stuff like that, being like, oh, this person is so cool. Having women as guests on like, your radio shows or whatever it is that you're doing, going to other women's radio shows as well. Like I just recently was on 5FM for Lula, and Lula reached out to me. It's like, see, that's another woman supporting you, and like you going on that platform and platforming other people or suggesting other people
Yeah.
that could be on the show as well. So I think that's parts and pieces, like a few examples of what I do to platform other women as well as DJs, but also just encouragement. And I think another thing, because we were talking about education, is that showing people that there is a space and places for them to learn how to do this if it's something that they would like to do. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love that you said you have a group of what's it called? You're gonna seven. You said you are seven ladies. What did you call it?
Yeah, she plays. She plays.
She plays. I love that. I really absolutely love that because that is like a huge power of community. I feel like having that
Yeah.
community of seven people, committed, having shared goals, shared mission, and actually doing it together. I think that is so
Yeah.
powerful. How did you guys get into that? How did that come to
Yeah,
be?
shout out to Power Play. We love them. But basically, so the brand, the energy drink Play, had auditions at the beginning of this year. I think already on the team they had three girls, and they were looking for four more girls. And basically, I sent in an application. I auditioned with the three other ladies as well, and then we were the ones that were chosen, and then the seven of us now basically represent Power Play at any event that they have or any collaboration thing that they have as well. And yeah, we've just been doing it all over South Africa basically. And it's just been a beautiful, lovely journey, and I've enjoyed my time with everybody so much. We're like one big family. It's actually
Oh,
quite
that is
amazing.
amazing, amazing. We often hear about, women not working together and always, at each other, but it's always good to hear the story of how women are actually working together, supporting
Yeah.
one another, being there for one another. So one of the things that I always want to always address, that women support women. Don't
They
let us
do.
believe, this, whatever story that's out there. Women do support women, and I really
No,
love
they
that
genuinely
about what you
do.
say. She plays. I love it.
She plays. Hashtag she
Yay!
plays.
So, what challenges have you faced as a woman in the DJ industry, and how have they influenced your approach to self care?
I think one of the biggest challenges that, and we were just talking about me being so intentional about it, but one of my biggest challenges was that thing of balancing being in the nightlife with your actual real life in the daytime, and feeling like feeling so depleted because of one thing, and then that kind of breathes into the real life everyday type of thing. And I think that was something that I really had to sit down with myself and really be like, okay, you feel like this,
Yeah.
you feel very low, you feel very sad, you sit in your room for like 3 days straight after being out for the whole weekend. Like, something needs to change here. Something needs to give, and you need to be a little bit more intentional about figuring out why do you feel like this, and what are things that you can do to counter the feeling of this. And I think that's where my self-care was
Yeah.
impacted, because it was like, the self-care, it's bigger than just a little face mask. It's bigger than like
Absolutely.
getting your nails done, your hair done. It has to start from the inside of you, so that it
Absolutely.
comes out, you know what I mean, so you can show up outwardly. And like I mentioned, it was definitely eating. Like, I had to start eating better, because I was like, my moods are all over the place because I'm
Yes.
not eating well. Like, when is the last time I had a vegetable? When was the last time I had just something that is of sustenance? And
Yeah.
I cannot lie, the eating component of it has really impacted me in overall in ways I can't even explain. And even something as small as like going to the gym, even if you
Yeah.
don't have the capacity to go to the
Yeah.
gym, take a walk,
Yes.
take a small little walk. Um, like some physical activity that isn't you performing, because also it helps you to perform better. Like, if I'm fit and I have stamina, I can play for longer.
Yeah.
I can dance when I'm playing. I'm not feeling tired and drained after the hour. I can keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
um so yeah, one of the challenges, yeah, basically summing up what I'm saying, is that the challenge I faced was finding balance between real life and professional life. And it affected my self-care, because
Yeah.
it started to affect me as a person. I was getting sick. The middle of this year was not easy for me, because I kept getting sick. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're getting sick because you're not really taking care of yourself. So I had to start being really intentional about taking care of myself, outside of like outward
Yeah.
taking care of yourself. It was more,
Absolutely.
it needed to be an inside thing. It needed to be a mental thing. It needed to be journaling. It needed to be all these little parts and pieces that I've put together to be like, I feel like I'm in a much better place now. And I know I'm more aware of like, maybe I need this today. Maybe I need that today. Maybe I need, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. When you are, again, I love being intentional. I feel like when we are very intentional about what we do and how we feel, knowing what we begin to grow. It gives us, the space to grow and understand ourselves better. And so it's really
Yeah.
amazing that you said that. So what advice would you give someone like a woman looking to pursue a career in entertainment while also prioritizing their mental health and well-being? Because you often have you have the I don't know what to call it, when people assume that when you're in this industry you have to be out there, like you have to be
Yeah.
crazy and manic, to be able to
Yeah.
to be able to succeed in that sense. But what will you tell anyone that's saying, listening to this and say, you know what, I really have an interest in this, but I've often maybe wondered about my mental health and my well-being. What advice
Yeah.
would you give someone like that?
I think the biggest advice that I would give someone in that position is that make sure that you know yourself and you understand yourself. And if you don't, find a way to figure out what keeps you going, what drives you, and what makes you happy, and what do you want to gain. You need to know what your why is when you enter this
Yes.
industry. I think that's the most important thing. You need to know why you're doing it, because why you're doing it will kind of inform the next steps of how you should do it and what you should be doing for it. And I think my why was longevity. I want to do this for a long time. And if I run my body down now when I'm in my 20s, how am I
Absolutely.
going to be able to do this when I'm 35, when I'm 40, when I'm, older? So that's why my health became such an important thing to me. But sometimes, there's other things that are more important to other people.
Absolutely.
So my advice definitely in terms of also taking care of your mental health
Yeah.
is you need to know your why, and you need to remind yourself of your why, because there are going to be lots of times where things around you are going to kick you down and fight you, and it's not good and happy and
All
unicorns
the
and
time.
flowers all the time every day. It's like, even not even just in the entertainment industry, in any career that you were in, like,
Absolutely.
there's going to be tough times and there's going to be good times as well. Do you know what I mean? So as long as you are in touch with your why will make sure that you are able to take care of yourself and your mental health and because it's like, again, another example is like, because I know my why is longevity.
Correct.
If I say no today, that doesn't mean I'm going to say no tomorrow, and I can
Absolutely.
say no today because there is still tomorrow and next year and the year after that. I can always go back. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. I love
yeah.
that. Knowing your why. I think that, like I said, I think that is that kind of it's a broad thing for anybody in any space. Knowing
Any
your
space.
why, exactly. Knowing your why, which is very important. Like you said, those downtime, those low times, understanding why you're doing something that is
Yeah,
beyond you, especially like that is beyond you, that has, longevity. Longevity is actually an amazing thing because when we think about it, most of us always want to. I mean, you don't start anything without thinking about longevity, even though you don't think about it, right? To
yeah,
be able to be something, I don't care, even if it's going to school, even if you're having a 9 to 5 job, whatever the case may be, you want to be able to to sustain yourself, right? We always want to do that, but we don't often think about what it takes, and what it takes is what you
yeah,
just said, the why, and taking it a day at a time. And often, especially as women, we are so hard on ourselves, right? That we want to finish it every day. We want to say yes, we want to move. And I also say that in this, which I call the popcorn era, where everything has to be done now. We don't, we
yeah,
all, we want to start today. Maybe social media is part of issue. I don't know that we want to start today and we want to be from here and be like right there in the same month, and we push and push and push because we just don't understand that we have to take it a bit at a time. Has that been in
yeah.
something with you that you've struggled with in terms of especially what I call the popcorn era, where you just have to feel like, oh, okay, I've started, I want to do this, but then you're so reaching so high that you just kind of almost get burnt out? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially at the beginning, like, whenever I also feel like our attention spans and our ability to just let things come to fruition and grow is so, like, tainted because of social media. Because you see someone, they weren't doing this yesterday, now they're doing it today, and they're big, big, big
Yeah.
because they went viral. Also, like, going viral is like, especially in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry, it's also another thing. But I guess I struggled with it at the beginning. But at the beginning, I also think it was like, I wasn't really sure about my why. It was just more so of like, I really love music and I really enjoy playing, and this is super fun to me.
Yeah.
But the longer I do it, the more I'm like, there's so many skills that you need to learn to be a well-rounded artist to get to the places that you want to get to. Like, if I mean, I would love to play Coachella tomorrow. I'd be like, yes, let's go. But it's also that thing of like, the person I want to be when I get to Coachella still needs some time to grow. And I think that's maybe something that we forget about in the entertainment industry is like, you see someone start today and anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Anyone can go viral and do anything. But there's also an element of, in the behind the scenes, you're also learning a lot of skills as you get there. You're learning about touring as well. Like,
Yes.
touring is not an easy thing.
Absolutely not.
Constantly living out of a bag, going city to city to city to city. Rather build the stamina with that. Rather do it
Absolutely.
slowly. Rather start, I'm in Joburg this week, we're in Cape Town next week, next month we're in Durban. Like, build up those like soft skills that are not necessarily shown front of face. But yeah, I think for me, the more I understand why I want to do this, the easier it has become for me to not really be phased by the popcorn effect, because I'm just like, there is so much time. Why do I need to achieve everything I want to achieve in a year?
Absolutely.
There's so much time. There is so much time. And
Absolutely.
even if I didn't have time and my time ends tomorrow, I'm happy with where I'm at, because I feel like in the time that I've had, I've been able to really achieve goals. And some goals have happened faster than I thought they would. Other ones are taking a bit longer. And that is absolutely fine because I have the peace of mind to know that I'm doing it for the long run. I'm not doing it just for now, for quick fasts, quick, to be done with it now. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we're going back again to the why. Just knowing your why, again, like you mentioned, I think also is that big push to help you being consistent and saying, okay, Rome is not built in a day. A building is not built in a day. I need bricks, and you need different kind of bricks, and you need different layers and design. And same thing with our skills, either soft skills or to be able to be consistent. Like it sounds like you've been very consistent with what you're doing, but
Yeah.
you're not over. And I don't want to use the word overreaching, meaning that you can't get there. Of course you can get there, but you mentioned like Coachella right now. It'd be great to get there, but do you have the capacity to get it done? And sometimes
Exactly.
that journey
Exactly.
is actually the journey between where you are right now to where you're going is actually where you're building. That's actually the journey. And I think we often forget that that's where the goal. We often want that goal, that big goal, and the journey to get there. We don't often enjoy it and build ourselves and enjoy that
Yeah.
space, which is where I think that's actually where life is, in between that journey to get to where you're going is where the beauty of life is. So it's really
Yeah.
amazing. Again, going back to your why. So, can you recall a moment in your career where self care played a crucial role in helping you overcome a challenge or setback?
100%. So I had my first international gig this year. I played in Zambia. I went to Lusaka. And just before I went to Lusaka, I was in Cape Town. And I was in Cape Town for, I think, a week or a bit. And then I had like 5 days of downtime. And then we were going to Lusaka that weekend. And in my being in Cape Town and just being like, oh, we're on holiday. Wasn't really on holiday, but we're on holiday. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's just, take it there. And when I came back, I got so sick. And now it's like, oh my goodness, I am so sick. And there is this really important, big highlighting gig that's happening at the end of this week. And I somehow need to be okay for that. And that's when self care had to come in quick, fast, because it was like, you know what? I'm going to accept that I'm sick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rest. I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to get the proper medication. And I'm going to basically switch off my phone this week. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything because it's really important that I make it to the end of this week. And if I feel the way I feel right now, it's going to be a problem. And for something like that is like, I have to push myself. I've never played outside of South Africa. This opportunity just came, and we had been talking about it for so long. It had been in the works for so long. And I kind of let myself a little let loose in Cape Town,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to let it stop me from getting to this goal because this is something I've wanted for a really long time. And that's when, that week was just a self-care week. It was taking things slowly, resting, sleeping as much as possible, eating well,
Correct.
having like a cayenne pepper flu mix solution thing going on. And fortunately enough, and I am so grateful,
Thank God.
literally that Thursday, I think we were flying out Saturday morning. That Thursday, I was like, okay, I'm back. I'm feeling good. By Friday, I was good. I was up because I had just intentionally said, I am prioritizing self-care the whole week. I'm so sorry if we had commitments or whatever,
Yeah.
but I need everybody to just take a step back because this goal, like priorities is everything. You have
Absolutely.
to prioritize sometimes. So that was the priority. And I was like, this is the priority. So everything else has to just take a bit of a step back.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I don't mean to say this like in a very kind of low way, but I just feel like you're still quite young, and for you to be in this stage where you're already getting this and
Yeah.
knowing this, it is so beautiful to listen to, because I still have a lot of people that are, that you as men, I'm like, at this age, you don't understand that you need to rest. You don't understand that you need to prioritize yourselves. And we're still talking about this. So it really is amazing to hear you talk. And I hope anybody listening to this will feel inspired to actually know
Yeah.
that they need to prioritize. We need to prioritize ourselves, not just for today, but also for the longevity of whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
We definitely need to prioritize ourselves. So let me ask you this, and we talk about music and mental health. How do you think music, both for yourself and for your audience, contributes to mental health and overall well being, both for you and actually the audience when you are out there doing what you do?
I think that music is a spiritual thing. I'll
Ooh, I
always say
love
this.
that.
It
Say
is
it again. I
always
love it. Say it again.
music is a spiritual thing. That thing is
Yes.
deep. That thing is real.
It
That thing
connects
is
the
it feeds
soul.
your soul.
Absolutely.
It really does. And it's like what you're listening to constantly is what it becomes a part of you. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And I think for me, music and mental health go hand in hand because I don't know if I could function as a person if I didn't listen to music or I didn't have music. And now that it's like there is a bit of tension every now and again because I've made it my job. So sometimes, like listening to it, I don't really relax because the DJ brain doesn't switch off. But always and forever, I will say that music is a spiritual thing,
yes.
and it impacts me as much as my audience because it also makes people feel good. Like if you're playing music that makes people feel good, makes people happy, that message translates. And also
Absolutely.
another thing that I think is really important is that you need to love everything that you are playing because that also translates. Like if I love what I'm playing, people can see that. People can see like, oh, okay, she's really enjoying herself. Maybe I should enjoy myself. Like,
Yeah.
maybe this is
Absolutely.
like this is kind of cool. What song is this? You know, bopping your head, having fun. So it just creates music. Just creates its own little vortex of just happiness and joy. And if it's good music and it makes people feel good, it will always translate. And that's what stays with people.
Yeah.
I won't even lie to you. Sometimes you might even forget that I was playing, or you're not even aware who the DJ is. But you will remember that there was that set that had song for song for song for song that was all your songs. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of message I want to leave. I'm like, yeah, as long as you had a great time, as long as you enjoyed yourself and it made you feel good, even maybe if you disassociated from real life and you could just be in that moment present, I'm happy. If I've done that, I've done my job. I'm done.
Amen. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Now let's quickly talk about community connection. We know we talk about, the she plays, which is amazing. But how do you think that a community, especially female DJs, can work together to support each other's self-care practices? There's different things of working together, but actually supporting one another in order to make sure that you're there for one another. How do you what do you think that people can do, especially in your industry?
Yeah, I definitely think that one of the things that we can do is hold each other accountable because I often think that we all think that self-care is a journey by yourself, but it's also like you have to draw support from your community when you need it. Like there are people around you that would love to hold your hand through it, that would love to be like, okay, friend, I see you're not doing so well today. Maybe we should not drink. Maybe we should just have some Sprite for the day or like whatever it
Absolutely.
is. And yeah, just holding ourselves accountable and asking people, really just asking like, how are you? Like what like have you been taking care of yourself? Have you been going to the gym? Have you been eating well? Like whatever it is, even maybe sharing in like setting goals with each other and being like, okay, our goal this year is that we would like to do a hike together or like do a this together. I think holding ourselves accountable is the beginning of being in a shared space of self-care because sometimes maybe you aren't aware and someone else being like, hi, I've noticed this pattern. Are you
Yeah.
okay? Is everything okay? Because I think it also is difficult to talk about things because the entertainment industry is sold to be like, yeah, everything is competitive. We're always going toe for toe, head for head. It's not like a collaborative space all the time. And I think it's also about finding communities where it is a collaborative space where we
Absolutely.
can just put our guard down a little bit and say, you know what, I'm actually not having the greatest day, but I will play my set and maybe we can chat about it afterwards. So also finding the people and finding the people in the space that
Yeah.
match your energy and feel like a safe enough place for you to also like talk to them, ask for help also. Always
Absolutely.
don't be afraid to ask for help because you never know who's watching and who has the capacity to help you. Do you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think community is important in terms of like accountability, asking for help, and you just also have to go the extra mile maybe to find the people that feel like a safe space to you for you to be able to let your guard down and be like, today was not the best day, or today could have been better. Or maybe like, hey guys, like I know we always do this, but maybe we should all just go for a walk together. Planning things also with people, your peers in your industry as well. Um, yeah, I think that's, and just drawing support from them overall. Like I think we, like I said, like it's always painted to be this competitive space,
Yeah,
but like there are people that want to support you, eh? You just
absolutely.
have to ask sometimes. And as hard as it is to ask, I think as women, we all struggle to ask for help. Like, it is absolutely okay to ask for help. People have capacity to help you.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love the fact that, in terms of, when you talk about the power of community, knowing that, number one, like you said, asking for help. Because oftentimes, like you said, we just often think, oh, she's busy herself. Ah, she's doing it. If she's doing it, I can do it. And because she's doing it,
Yeah,
then she's not struggling. Then I don't want to feel weak, like I'm weak and she's stronger than me, or whatever the case may be. And oftentimes we all need help. We all need to have some sort of support. And I also love the fact that, because I love when you, with education part of it, when you break things down in terms of, sometimes it could just be having that person that's saying, no, we're not drinking today. We're just going to
yeah,
have water. No, we're not going out today. We're just going to chill. Or,
yeah,
or in your downtime saying, no, we're going out today. You're going to get some fresh air. Or, like
yeah,
having someone there that we can trust and be vulnerable with. I think, you kind of nail on the head with that one. But I think,
yeah.
like you said, that there's so much power in the community, which I love what you say. So as you've grown in your career, how have your view been on self care? How has your view on self care evolved? And what new practices have you adopted that might be not traditional?
Um, I think that it changed my view in self care in terms of like, I think I just keep going back to this point because it's just changed everything for me. But health, I really started to take my health seriously. Also, just with like aging and getting older, like your bounce back time is not the same way it was when I was like 19, 18. It does take a few days to get back on it. I recently actually slipped and fell and
Oh,
really injured my shoulder and my arm.
oh,
And
sorry to hear that.
again, it's like that thing of like, if I wasn't healthy and I wasn't working out, that could have taken me much longer to recover from than how long it did take me to be like, okay, I'm okay. So I think that's something that has drastically changed, is just being health forward, like just really prioritizing my health at any cost. Maybe even a little bit annoying sometimes, but it's just something I'm like, I can't compromise on this thing, guys. Like I know exactly how I feel after when I do compromise on it.
Yeah,
So I might be a little bit hard and strict and fast on it because it needs to be this way for me personally. I'm not saying that anybody else has to do that,
absolutely.
but for me, that's how I would like it to be done. Um, but yeah, I think that's one thing that I've just become hyper aware of my health and my well-being, to be like, if I'm sick, I can't make money. Now I have to sit
Yes.
and heal. It's like I'm losing now this opportunity because I have to get better. But yeah, I think that's
Absolutely.
that's that's, that's the biggest thing. Like I can't think of anything bigger than that,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
absolutely. And without health, there's no wealth. You cannot, there's nothing you can do. You need health for everything. And oftentimes,
Exactly.
again, even if you're not talking about music and talking about women or any kind of career in general, I think it's just amazing to understand that our health is very important. And I think
Yeah.
it's sometimes often too late for a lot of people to start until something happens. And it's unfortunate that we often wait till when something happens before we start saying, okay, now I have to change how I eat, how think about what I eat, I put in my mouth and stuff like that. But if we can, they always say prevention is better than cure. If we can actually prevent chronic diseases, it's actually, or any kind of whatever, fatigue is one of those things. The way we eat is how we feel. What you eat is what you feel. So I really love
Yeah.
that, the health thing stood out in what you said. So as we're wrapping up, I'll ask you, what future aspiration do you have for integrating self-care furthermore in your career? And how do you plan to share this with your audience?
So definitely something I want to incorporate more of is the fact that I think in my heart, in the back of my mind, somewhere
Your
in there,
heart,
I'm a
heart,
dancer.
heart, heart, heart.
In my heart, guys, I'm a dancer. You don't know it yet, but I know it. I feel like I can do it.
Okay.
So I really want to start taking like dance classes or some like a movement kind of class. It's like
Mm,
I know that's like a short term goal, but it's somewhere there. And it is something I would love to incorporate into maybe my performances every now and again. Maybe not all the time, but it would be nice. It would be really lovely to have that element and put reels out there. And even if I don't, sometimes it's okay to do things that are not related to your career. Like I just want to dance for the sake of dancing. Maybe I won't do it on stage, but I can post a reel to share with my community. Be like, hey, I started this new cool thing. I was so bad at the
exactly.
beginning, but look at me now. But also another thing is like just another goal that I have is to learn how to play an instrument.
Okay.
And I think that's more mental health, like self care, and more like not a physical thing, but more of like your brain working and your brain doing something that's like fun and on the
Challenging.
side, but not necessarily like physically self caring.
Correct.
And another like mental knowledge self care thing is I used to be such a big reader. Now I barely read because my attention span is a second. TikTok is reading everything. But I would love to get back into reading. Like I think knowledge is power,
Yeah,
and the source of knowledge is always going to be a book.
absolutely.
And yeah, so those are like three things that, and even if it means reading stuff that is directly related to music. So yeah, the three things for me that I can foresee in my future that directly relate to my self care is definitely reading, a dance class, and learning an instrument.
Oh, that is
That's my like.
beautiful.
I mean, I can say 5 years. 5 years is too long, but like three,
No,
four,
that's
five
fine. Five
year
years works
plans
too,
in
but
self
that's
care.
amazing. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. So, if you could
Yeah.
leave your our listeners with one final thoughts or a mantra about self care and rest, because you've really mentioned about we've gone deep down into self care and rest today. What would it be?
Yeah. My mantra is if you know your why, you'll know your how. And if you know your how, you'll be fine. You'll be good. If you know your why, you'll know your how, and you'll be fine and you'll be good. And it will honestly like flesh out everything else around it naturally in terms of what you need to do and what your body needs. What works for you might not work for me, and what works
Absolutely.
for me might not work for you. And that's why it's really important to understand yourself first and foremost, and understand what are the pressures that are on you, what do you need to show up in, how do you need to show up, because that will all like kind of break down what your self-care needs to look like for you.
Absolutely. I love, 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 love it. You are so
Yes.
knowledgeable and so smart and beautiful, and you have really done us good today. We always say that where there's three things, like you said earlier, is to educate, encourage, and equip women, and I can definitely say you check all the boxes for us right now. So thank you
Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So if somebody wants to reach out, want to, follow you, be in touch with you, what do you have in line right now that you're doing that we can check you out?
Okay, so this came out last week, but it will be repeating this week. I'm on MTV Base, guys. Please go check me out.
Oh,
She Plays Takeover. It's lovely. But coming up in the next couple of weeks, I have a few events that I'm playing at in Johannesburg. I'll be playing at the playground. Okay, but like this is coming out in December, so
correct.
actually you guys are not going to get
It's-
this because I won't say what I'm doing this weekend.
yeah.
But in December, you can definitely look onto my social media pages. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Nahledi. That's Nahledii everywhere. I am always posting about my gigs and I'm always posting about where I'm at, where I'm playing. But yeah, because we're shooting this in October, I won't say what I'm doing now. But if you go on my social media, you can see everywhere that I'm playing. And yeah, that's where you can find me. You can also find me on SoundCloud if you're interested in listening to some music.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
also at Nahledi, Nahledi. And yeah, that is me. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is such an important chat. You guys are doing very, very, very
Thank
important
you.
work. And yeah, let's all educate, encourage, and elevate one another.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, now, lady. This has been amazing. And thank you guys for listening to another series and episode of the She Self Care's Triple E podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been awesome. You are so knowledgeable and again so beautiful and so eloquent and so
Oh, thank you. You're making me shy. I was
yeah, that's
blushing.
fine. Like take it,
Thank you
take it.
so
Take all
much.
your flowers. Take all your flowers.
No, this was amazing. I also think you asked the questions really well, and I love the pieces and parts of little things that you threw in as well. I think you guys are doing amazing work, and I very rarely, I mean, podcasts are podcasts, and everybody has
Correct.
their idea of a podcast of what their message wants to be.
Correct.
I don't know if I know anyone that's doing what you guys are doing right now, so I really love that, especially like in a space like I don't know if your guests are just limited to South Africa, but I'm assuming that you guys are
It's
really
broad,
to people
yes.
all over Africa as well.
Correct.
I think we need this. We definitely
Absolutely.
need this because everybody, it's all great and well to see someone doing something, but like, how did you get there? And when you got there, what did you do to take care of yourself? 'Cause
Correct.
even me, like, I really struggled with like, guys, am I the only one that feels like this? And it's not when until I started talking to people.
Absolutely,
And being like,
exactly. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy after all.
yeah, like we feel like this. Okay, guys, thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So definitely when this up, it's gonna be the first week in December. We're gonna send you, but we'll send you the, of course, the full clip before you see it as well, and then of
Yeah.
course we'll tag you and all that amazing stuff when things come. But we'll be in touch before then, so that when we
Okay.
get it out, it would also be on Spotify as well. So yeah,
Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, and
awesome.
I sent you guys a reel that was kind of like
I
a
saw that.
combination of the
Correct.
different things.
One other thing I would
Um,
wanted to ask is if I mean, of course, we have a bit of time, especially if it's just a little bit of a little clip of you DJing will be awesome as well.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask you
Okay.
guys. I was like, would you like another 15 second? I made it 15 seconds because
Yeah.
I know like that's like a quick clip in for
Correct.
the internet. I can send a DJ one as well.
Okay, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. I'll
Awesome.
send that to you before the end of this week.
Okay. And if anything, we'll remind you, but I'm sure you will.
Yeah. I'm actually going to do it now. Probably might even send it now, but I just have another meeting at like 3.
No problem at all. No problem. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you. And
Recording stopped.
we will be in touch. Enjoy the
Yeah,
rest of
thank
your
you
day.
so much for having me, and yeah, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day,
You do the
and I
same.
wish you guys the best of luck with this series. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you. All right. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the She Self Care Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review to help others find us. Remember, self-care is a journey, not a destination, and you deserve every moment of it. Until next time, keep shining and taking care of yourself, body, mind, and soul. You've got this.